Good morning, friends. So, in the Sunday's class, we completed the sharp single index model. Today, we'll do the one more slot that is remaining, arbitrage pricing theory. With that, we'll be completing the chapter portfolio management, efficient market hypothesis. A small segment is remaining, which will be done along with the chapter mutual funds later. That helps you to understand that much more better. So with the arbitrage pricing theory, we'll be completing the chapter portfolio management. Once APT problems have been completed, one or two miscellaneous sums here and there is left out to be complete. We'll also do that and then go for the capital budgeting. Okay. In that we'll be having three segments, namely the concepts in capital budgeting, leasing, and then capital budgeting under uncertainty. That's the next major chapter we'll be covering. So we'll complete the portfolio today and try to have a start to the chapter capital budgeting in today's class itself. Now, settle down, don't talk, stop talking. So, no need to summarize the full chapter, and the class will be completed. So, let us summarize some sharp single index model and then move on to the next area called as APT, arbitrage pricing theory. We saw that there are 6. First you settle down, then I will start. So, from CAPM let us summarize because APT has lot of link to the CAPM. So, we discuss about capital asset pricing model first, where we saw that risk can be classified into two types, systematic and then unsystematic risk. And systematic risk cannot be diversified away, it is there in the system itself. Unsystematic risk is company specific, can be reduced through diversification. CAPM said that one should never ask a premium for an unsystematic risk. Premium should be asked only for the systematic risk. We had an equation KE is equal to RF plus beta into RM minus RF. RF is the risk-free return and RM is the return for taking the market portfolio risk. RM minus RF is the risk premium for market portfolio into beta time gives you the security risk premium. Here we saw beta can be calculated in 6 ways. The 6 ways of calculating beta are change in security return divided by change in market return, that can be used only when the correlation is +1. Next is the change in security, that is standard deviation of security divided by standard deviation of market into correlation of security and market. Third is covariance of security and market divided by sigma m the whole square. Then we had in the sharp single index model 3 more formulas discussed. Sigma xy minus n x bar y bar divided by sigma x squared minus n x bar the whole square, or n sigma xy minus sigma x sigma y divided by n sigma x squared minus sigma x the whole square. Finally, the beta can also be found out using the regression equations. namely sigma y is equal to n alpha plus beta sigma x, sigma xy is equal to alpha sigma x plus beta sigma x squared. If I solve, I will be getting the value of the beta. So using CAPM, we find out the KE. The KE we call as required return or required KE for the given risk taken. The expected return will be compared with the required return, and if the expected return is more than required return, then the security is underpriced, can be purchased, otherwise it is overpriced, cannot be purchased. Or value the asset using the CAPM discount rate, that is called as fair value, compare with the actual value, and then identifying underpricing or overpricing to make a decision. Then we discuss about the two types of betas there, levered beta and then unlevered beta. Levered beta is the equity shareholder risk in a company which has borrowed. Unlevered beta is a risk in a company which has not borrowed. Unlevered beta represents only business risk. Levered beta represents business as well as financial risk. Unlevered beta is same as the source beta called as asset beta. Beta levered is equal to beta unlevered into debt plus equity divided by equity. When you have tax, beta unlevered into debt into 1 minus t plus equity divided by equity. We also discuss portfolio beta is nothing but weighted beta of the individual securities. In essence, that is what has been ultimately learnt in the CAPM. Then we discuss about the Sharpe-Singer index model, where see there is a line called as characteristic market line. K is equal to Ri plus beta Rm plus EI. EI is called as the error term. It is a difference between the actual point and the point lying on the regressed line. So the error term summation should be 0 for the line to be called as a regressed line. And we also saw that the standard deviation of error term is called, the variance of error term is called as unsystematic risk. So this Sharpe index model gave you the risk. V is nothing but what? Total risk is equal to beta square sigma m square plus sigma EI square, where beta square sigma m square is called as systematic risk and sigma EI square is called as unsystematic risk. Very simple. Why the security varies? Because the market varies. We say because the market varies, it should vary only by so much. It has varied more. What is the reason here? Reason is something which is unknown, which we call as unsystematic risk. That portion of the risk which can be explained through market variance is called as coefficient of determination, and that portion which cannot be explained through market variance is called as that is coefficient of non-determination. So coefficient of determination is systematic risk divided by total risk, and coefficient of non-determination is 1 minus coefficient of determination or unsystematic risk divided by total risk. Then we discuss about the beta, that is the risk of a portfolio. Risk of a portfolio is nothing but sigma p. Normally how we find out? W1 square sigma x square plus W2 square sigma y square plus 2 into W1 into W2 into sigma x into sigma y into correlation of x and y. If the question does not give you correlation but has given you only what? Beta, still they ask you to find out the variance of a portfolio. We can find out using Sharpe index model. Variance of a portfolio, V is equal to beta p sigma m the whole square, or simply beta p square into sigma m square. What is beta p square? Wx sigma x, Wx beta x plus Wy beta y. This is called as what risk? Systematic risk. What unsystematic risk? Wx square sigma Ex square plus Wy square sigma Ey square. There is no correlation between Ex and Ey because random errors should not be having any correlation either among themselves or with the market also has been discussed. Once we discussed, then we saw some miscellaneous discussion. So we saw that there are 4 input factors in the security return. One is alpha, another is beta, third is Rm, fourth is error term. Alpha, beta are constant. Rm, error terms are variables. Variables should be having a mean as well as the standard deviation. The mean of Rm is Rm bar. The variance is sigma m square. The mean of Ei is Ei bar, which is going to be 0, and the variance is sigma Ei square, which only we call it as unsystematic risk. then we saw that the correlation between the error term and the market should be 0. If at all the error becomes correlated, it is not random error, it becomes what? Systematic only. Similarly, it is empirically proved that the correlation between the error terms among themselves also should be 0. Have you gone home and checked whether correlation between error and market is 0 or not? If we had one problem in the hand or not, you can just go home today and check it. It will be 0, it should be 0. If you only have 1 or 2 numbers, it may be due to what? Rounding of error and not due to the error in the calculation, that is the concept. Can I proceed or not? Now, once we completed that, we discuss about the sharp optimum portfolio determination. So, when you have number of securities in the market, Sharp uses a technique to find out which security invest and how much proportion to invest. That we call as Sharp optimum portfolio proportion. We had 5 steps here. First, calculate reward to volatility ratio. Number 2 is what? Arrange the securities in the descending order of reward to volatility ratio. Step number 3 is calculate cutoff point and then identify the investments to be made. Step 4 is calculate ZJ, and the last step is calculate the proportions. So this is what has been discussed there. In that, what is reward to volatility ratio? Ri minus Rf divided by beta. For every 1 unit of beta, what is the risk premium you are getting? Is what because reward to volatility ratio. They also calculate cutoff point. Tell me the columns in the cutoff point table. 6 columns we had. You all remember or not? First column is what? Security. Second column is reward to volatility ratio. Ra minus Rf divided by beta. Third column is what? Ra minus Rf into beta divided by unsystematic risk. Column 4 is sigma. Column 3. Column 5 is what? Beta squared divided by unsystematic risk. And the column 6 is sigma. Column 5. We have the cutoff point formula. Cutoff point is equal to market variance into column 4 divided by 1 plus market variance into column 6. As simple as that. Exam don't write column 4, column 6. In fact, write what the formula as it is. I think you are following or not? Now. Then we also calculate what? ZJ. What is the formula for ZJ? Beta divided by unsystematic risk into Ri minus Rf divided by beta into market variance. Okay, minus cutoff point, sorry. Once we completely have the ZJ calculation, we have ZJ for each and every number. Total ZJ to the number ZJ gives you the proportion. That is going to be the optimum portfolio proportion to be invested. With that, we completed the previous class. Now, see, this Sharp optimum portfolio proportion is highly mathematical and it was not very widely used everywhere. Like CAPM, which is very easily understandable and it may have assumptions, but it is very widely used. That is why most of the books doesn't deal with this particular area called as Sharp optimum portfolio proportion. Only in core portfolio management books which are purely devoted to portfolio management, core portfolio management books like Elton and all only, they have this particular Sharp optimum portfolio determination. But why we discuss here is because Institute Study Material has one problem in this particular segment. That same problem only we did in our calculation also. Here there is one small, issue to be discussed. ZJ we calculated now. The Institute Study Material uses a formula beta squared divided by unsystematic risk. First, that's what I am saying. But now we used to want beta divided by unsystematic risk. To that extent, the answer will be different. If you refer study material uses beta squared divided by unsystematic risk. But we are using what? Beta divided by unsystematic risk. Why? Because it is correctly beta divided by unsystematic risk only. The original Sharp, if you see the paper downloaded, there is only beta divided by unsystematic risk. Books like Elton and all also uses only this particular formula. Okay. So the right formula is beta divided by unsystematic risk. Study material, it is being used as beta squared divided by unsystematic risk. For calculating what? ZJ, for calculating the ZJ. into, we know that RA minus RF by beta minus C star. That is correct only. Instead of beta squared, we use beta. Because if you compare the answer may be different. That's the reason. Everybody are you following or not? No. Examination how to do I cannot tell you, okay, but I just told you what is the fact. You can also give both answers in SHJ only one step na, so it can be beta or what, beta squared. Give it for safety purpose, because the key answer is as per what, the study material. Then we may not be getting the marks. That's why I just wanted to highlight this. Can I proceed? Write down note. Similarly, in the practice problem segment and all, wherever our answer differs with what the institute answer, I always give the note that it is differing, so that we'll be able to make a judgment how to answer in the exams. Okay, write down note. While calculating ZJ, we used the formula. Tell me the formula for ZJ. Beta divided by unsystematic risk. We use the formula beta divided by unsystematic risk into RA minus RF by beta minus what? The cutoff point, minus C star, minus the cutoff point. Everybody following or not? But in study material, the formula used is, beta squared by unsystematic risk. Beta squared by unsystematic risk. The formula used is beta squared divided by unsystematic risk. Remaining, I think we need not write it. Okay, beta squared divided by unsystematic risk. Okay. Now, with this we completed the two issues. The last issue to be discussed is called as what? Arbitrage pricing theory. Please. It is relatively simple to learn compared to sharp single index model, but we can understand the full APT only at the conclusion of our discussion. That is, when the full discussion is made after solving problems only, we will be in a position to understand the full picture of what arbitrage pricing theory tries to tell us. Okay. Till the time, it may be somewhat general in nature what I am discussing. May be able to understand what is so great about it during the earlier introduction phase. The real APT meaning and what it tries to convey can be understood only after doing some number of problems in this regard, because I need numbers for you to get convinced regarding the concept of arbitrage pricing theory. Say, this APT is a development over CAPM. It tries to find out efficiency frontier, which is much more better than the risk-free return and then what? The market portfolio. It challenges the question of what? The market index itself. That is what we call as the arbitrage pricing theory. And this theory is academically very sound. That is, people thought that the research is very good, the finding is what? Very good. But it has become very practically difficult to implement the arbitrage pricing theory. Due to the difficulty in implementation only, this has not yet gained momentum. It has gained acceptance all over. But it is right, it is fine. But how to implement in what? The real world situation. That is an advantage of CAPM over all the other theories. So Markowitz still what? Sharp index model. CAPM was superior because of its easy applicability. So API will apply it. They find it very difficult to apply APT in the real market situation. But what they say is very much superior to the capital asset pricing model theory in the stock valuation. So APT is conceptually superior, but CAPM is practically more viable. That is the position of APT and CAPM. So now let us see what this arbitrage pricing theory discusses. Now, at the beginning, it may seem to be very easy, very obvious only. What is so great in this theory can be seen. But when you go into the problems, one or two very simple sums only, insight it gives you is very great. So we'll understand the significance of APT only after completing the problems in this regard. Then we'll be having a notes. Generally for APT, I'll be having the introduction notes. After completing the APT only, that notes I don't want to dictate it, since it is much more easier to understand. I just given you as a printed sheet. I think you'll have the notes for the arbitrage pricing theory or not. Around 1.5 pages notes has been given. That is a summary of all the discussion which has been made. Okay, when I do the problems, I will not dictate any notes, because what is tried to be captured there is given in the notes later in the full form of notes in the sheet itself. Okay, here alone we will only copy only the problem and solution. No introduction notes, you need to note it down. Similarly, you need not also have notes for each and every problem to be done. It is not a very difficult concept to cover, very simple. And the problems which you are doing are in fact past examination problems only. Can I proceed or not? Now, I am again using the word examination problem, ask in examination. The reason is very simple. I think the SAR is teaching something like Greek and Latin. Greek is also there in syllabus. Okay, so something like Greek and Latin is being what discussed. So these are all relevant to us. Something discussed. Why should I come to the class and listen all these unnecessary things? Not so. I am saying again asked in exam, because it is there in question paper. Hence we are what discussing. Understand that what we discuss in portfolio management is not the full portfolio management. There are some things separate, something called as what international portfolio management, where more complex issues are going to be discussed, which hedge funds and all is going to use. But we are not discussing all this because not asked in the examination. Understand that what I am discussing till now is not something very much above what examination requirement. What I am discussing is exam requirement only. Do you all believe me or not? Normally that is what student feel. Unnecessarily is doing what all those things. Not unnecessary. That is why I am making it a point every time that this is what problem? Examination problem given in what RTP and so on. Only thing is study material or examination, they may not be discussing this problem with background, okay? But every problem which is even an exam problem, we have a lot of background to it. For that only discussion takes lot of time. The background is discussed, then only you can know in what context a particular sum is asked. Everything portfolio chapter only. Are they asking KE from CML or KE from SML or KE from what arbitrage pricing theory? You have to know how to differentiate it or not. For that only the chapter is learned in the way it should have been learned. Can I proceed now? Let's start with a brief introduction to this concept called as arbitrage pricing theory. We'll continue from where we have left. Okay, see. We all know that risk of a security is the variability in its return. Can I proceed? Now, risk of security is what? Variability in its return. We are now going to formally start the APT discussion. Variance in return is called as what? Risk. The variance also we can say, if it takes square root again as what? Standard deviation. They found out very comfortably maintaining the variance angle. So variance in security return is called as what? The risk of security return. Can I proceed? Now, this variance in security return we saw can happen due to two reasons. What are two reasons here? One is systematic, another is what? Unsystematic. Okay. Why the security return varies? Because the system varies, so the security inside the system also what? Varies. If you are in a system, suppose you are in a city, when the city shakes due to earthquake, the house also will shake. You cannot say, my house is strong, it will not shake due to earthquake. When the entire system is going to be shaky, you are also inside that system, it is also going to what? Shake only. No side comments. Can I proceed now? ஏதோ ஒரு example I am giving. Ambuja cements, any cement you buy, okay now. no example from your side. I will give the example from my side. I give irrelevant example, you give irrelevant answers. Can I say no? Request. Compare discussion. So system varies. So the security also what? Varies. Such a risk is called as what? A systematic risk, which is measured through the beta and the variance of what? The market portfolio. Respond yes or no. Either sharp said beta square, sigma m square is called as what? A systematic risk, because the security varies beta times what? The market variance is called as a systematic risk. Yes or no? Now, apart from that, still beyond the systematic risk, the security still what? Varies something extra that cannot be explained. That is called as what risk? Unsystematic risk, which we call as a random risk or random variable measured through what? Sigma EI square. Respond. Are you following or not? Now, next point. Whether it is CAPM or sharp single index model, for the market risk variance, they had a proxy called as market portfolio. How market varies, you can guess here. How can you gauge the variance in market? The market varies, the system varies. Now, for the system, there should be a representative, yes or no? Who represents the system? Question is no. Who represents the system here? Market portfolio. When the market portfolio varies, that is used as what? A measure of the variance in the system. Everybody, are you following what I'm saying? So, for the system, the representative uses what? The market portfolio, or we call as the market index. That is why it is called as what models? Index models. Whether it's sharp single index or what? CAPM or CML or are called as what models here? Index models. So, market, somebody should be a representative, yes or no? When the system varies, I simply say, when the system varies, I say what varies? The security return varies. So, system, now what is a system? A question is no. So, we all said that the system is represented by what? Market portfolio. Somebody should represent us in the parliament, yes or no? Manmohan Singh represents what? India, right or not? Somebody should be a proxy for the entire country. It is not like that. For the entire market, something should be what? Proxy. The proxy is what? Market portfolio. Everybody following or not? So, they just measure the change in the market portfolio and say, this is the variance of the system. This is going to be what? Variance of the system, or this is the variance of the market portfolio. For that variance, we regress what? The security return and find out the beta. Respond yes or no. In that case, we had a line like this. Namely, what axis? X-axis, Y-axis. In that we have a system here. What represents system here? Market portfolio represents what? System. And we have a specific security called as what? Security X, Y, Z, etc. Right or not? In that case, we find out the line of best width. The slope is called as what? Beta. When the market portfolio varies, how much the security varies? This is what we call as what? Systematic risk for the security. Respond yes or no. Is measured through what? Beta. Beta is the slope of the security return to what? Yeah, systematic risk. The systematic risk is called as what? Market portfolio. We use a market portfolio as a representative, both in CAPM as well as what? In sharp single index model. Everybody following or not? Now, here only APT starts. Its questions how you can call market index as what? Representative. They don't accept anything called as market portfolio as a representative for your system. Are you following what I am saying? In a question, model say base say it is no what shaking here. The CAPM and SR, that is the sharp single index model, both are based on entire theory on what? Index model. They are always based on what? Market index. That market index validity is now what? Questioned. They say don't use the market portfolio as a proxy for your systematic risk. The systematic risk, the proxy should not be what? The market portfolio. They start giving the reason for that. Can I put or not? Now, let's see the reason why market portfolio cannot be what? The proxy. Okay, see. Let's take an example. Beta is equal to 2 times. Beta is equal to what? 2 times. What is the meaning of beta is equal to 2 times? When market varies by 1%, the security return varies by 2%. Everybody, are you following or not? Now, what APT says is, why the market varies by 1%? There should be a reason or not? Because on that day ask a question, the variance in market is due to what? Variance in security inside the portfolio only, yes or no? then it becomes what I say a paradox. Yeah, because market varies because what? Security varies. Security varies because what? Market varies. This is not a way to explain things. Are you following what I am saying? Because market portfolio consists of what? The same security only. The market portfolio varies because the security varies. Another person put a question. But I say security variance due to what? Market variance. Then in that case, we cannot say seed before tree or tree before tree. No, seed, nobody can say, right or not? Now, really, everybody has an answer. Even Sharp has an answer. The market varies not because of security. The market varies due to what? Macroeconomic factors. Everybody, yes or no? Now, very simple. Why the share market performs? Why the share market does not perform? Question is no. Now, share market performs or does not perform because inside the share market, the shares are performing or not performing. Yes or no? The question is, why the entire market shares are performing or not performing? The answer is, the system is what? Changing. It may be due to high inflation. It may be due to what? Interest rate against corporates. Or it may be due to what? Business cycle called as what? GDP, gross domestic product. Or maybe due to exchange rate fluctuations. It may be due to energy crisis. So many things are there for companies in the entire market to perform or not perform. Yes or no? So what APT says is, the real source of risk is not a variance in market portfolio. The real source of risk is what makes the market portfolio varies. Are you what I'm saying? So what the real source of risk, say, the source of the risk. The source of the risk is not the market portfolio varying. The index is varying, so the share return is what? Varying. Is a very superficial way of what? Arguing things. Why the index is varying? Question is no. The market itself varies because of some factors now. That factors we call as what? Macroeconomic factor, which are common to all the companies in the segment. Everybody yes or no. So why the share market goes up and down? RBI announces a cut in interest rate. They go for what? Interest rate cut. The share market increases. In the market, if you watch any policy decision of the government or what, Reserve Bank of India, RBI announces interest rate is going to be reduced. What happens here? The market share prices increases. Suppose they said say inflation index has crossed 13%. What happens here? The market price what? Crashes. Or they say this year the GDP announces only 4.8%. Next quarter we predict the GDP only 5.2 or 5.3%. Then what happens here? Market goes up or what? Come down and so on. They give the industrial production index. They give the agricultural production index. Anything that happens when they give information, the share price goes up and down or not? Now, whatever news comes which makes the share price of the entire market goes up and down, those news only we call as what? Macroeconomic factors. Everybody yes or no? Some examples of macroeconomic factors are the GDP, the general business performance of the country, whether it is very, what I say, vibrant or it is what? Dull is one of the factor. It may be what? Interest rates of the country. It may be what? The inflation rate or exchange rate, because now it is globalized. Every company's profit is also affected by what? The global exchange rates. It may be energy crisis in the country. For example, in Tamil Nadu, we have energy crisis in the south part of Tamil Nadu where production are getting what? Greatly hit and so on. So many factors affect this. Are all called as what factor? Macroeconomic factor. Let's come back to discussion. APT says that security return varies not because the market return varies, because of the macroeconomic factor. Because of what? Macroeconomic factors. You may argue, sir, all macroeconomic factors only affects the market portfolio or not? Then that only calling us what? Market portfolio variance. Why can't you use the market portfolio as what? Proxy. The same question asked or not? Now, for that only let me explain now. Suppose beta is 2 times. Beta is what? 2 times. What is the meaning of beta 2 times? When market portfolio return varies by 1%, when the index, stock index varies by 1%, my share return varies by 1%, 2%, is the meaning of beta. Yes or no? No. Why the stock index may vary? The stock goes up and down. Why it goes up and down? It may be because of what? GDP. It may be because of what? Interest and so on. Respond. Yes or no? No. I take 2 reasons. One is factor 1, which is GDP, and another I call as what? Factor 2, which is what? Interest rate. Let's take 2 things. Now, say market return increases by 1%. Example, market increases how much percent? 1%. Why the stock index goes up by 1% today? Because the company GDP has grown. Because the company GDP has, the country's GDP has grown. The country GDP has increased, so the market also has gone up by what? 1%. Immediately we assume that our company X Limited return will change by 2%. That's beta, right? What I am saying now. So GDP has increased. When the GDP increase, the market return increases by 1%. Example I am giving. So when the market return increases by 1%, since I am saying my beta is how much here? 2 times. It changes how much here? 2 times the market return. Everybody yes or no? Okay. Tomorrow another reason. Market return decreases by 1%. Why it decreases by 1%? Because RBI has increased the interest rate. It has increased what? Interest rate. Whenever interest rates are increased, cost of capital become more. Yes or no? When cost of capital is more, the discount rate what? Increase. And the value is going to obviously what? Decrease. It's a simple way of understanding the interest rate movement. When interest rate increased by RBI, tell me the entire stock index will be going up or coming down? Coming down. Suppose the market crashes by 1%. Crash by 1%? 1%. Tell me the share return crash by what percentage? 2%. That means, understand the sentence now. When I say beta is equal to 2 times, when I say what? Beta is equal to 2 times, by whatever reason the market return changes, my company return changes how much percent? 2% is the meaning. Yes or no? That means for all the macroeconomic factor, for me the beta is 2 times. Are you for what I am saying? Whether the market changes due to GDP, or it changes due to what? Interest rate, or it may change due to what? Energy risk, anything else. So many reasons why the market may want to change, but due to any reason it changes for 1%, my share reacts by how much percent? 2% is what all this model says. Yes or no? AP says it is not so, because all macroeconomic factors need not affect every business in a similar way. Are you for what I am saying? See, all that is when I say simply beta is equal to 2, where market is used as what? Proxy. When I use a market using as what? Proxy, in that case, there is an inherent assumption that due to whatever reason the market change, it may be inflation, it may be interest, it may be what? GDP, whatever reason the market may change, my security return change how much percentage? 2 times. That means my security is 2 times sensitive to all macroeconomic factors. Yes or no? But what APD says is different macroeconomic factor may have what? Different influence over the different securities. Are you following what I am saying? Now, let's take 2 examples. Say, there is a company which is in airlines business. There's a company which is in utility. That is, it is a power supplying company, a state electricity board, which may be what? Listed in some of the countries. Are you following what I am saying? So, I take 2 examples. An airline company, and then what? A company engaged in supplying water, the utility, power to the local residents, is a localized company. Everybody following on? Let's take these 2 companies as an example. Now, understand that the occupancy of airline business mainly depends on the economic performance of the country. If the country is very prosperous, employment is good, companies are making huge profit, GDP is what? Growing means, then you can see huge traffic in airlines. There's so much occupancy. People are what? Traveling. Why people are traveling here? Because activity is going on. What is GDP? GDP is something but what? Represents the activity level of a country. Last year, this year, no change in GDP. Everything is stable, nothing has changed. No improvement in activity. Are you following what I am saying? So GDP always represents what? How busy business are, how many units of goods and services are improving is what you call as a GDP. When GDP is high, people are what? Very active. They are traveling here and there, and airline business will prosper. Yes or no? So GDP is very low. GDP is what? Very low. In that case, business is not happening. Yes or no? In such case, people will not travel. Then the company board meeting they will not be meeting personally. Through Skype, it may be over. Yes or no? They don't want to pay air ticket for going. Anyhow, it is going to be loss only. Why to travel and have what? Loss. They'll be discussing in what? They'll go for cost reduction measures and so on. No need to travel so much. So they go for cost cutting. First thing is what? They avoid travel, and the airline occupancy may reduce. Yes or no? So generally, one of the business which is very much what I say attached to GDP is what? Airline business. So in this case, the sensitivity of the airline to GDP is very high. Is what? Very high. But come to power. Okay, household power supply. Okay, that company whether GDP grows or GDP does not go, fan will run in your house. Kadaba. You will watch TV, right or not? Now, in that case, it is not going to vary so much. It's not going to vary so much because this company is having a stable cash flows where the consumptions are what known, and it is not dependent on what volume. The volume is stable. It does not depend on the gross domestic product response. So no, even during recession or during what boom, the power consumption by households is going to be almost what same only. In such a case, this company is not going to be so much affected by what GDP. Respond, yes or no? Suppose both companies is having beta how many times here? 2 times. That means when GDP increases by 1%, the airline profit also goes up by 2%. The utility also goes up by what? 2%. It may be true for airline, it may not be true for utility. Everybody follow what I am saying? In that case, using market as a measure is a wrong way of understanding a security risk. Everybody is or no? This is what, and in this case, utility interest rate is very important because cash flows are stable. Cash flows are what? Stable. But interest decreases now. The discounted cash flow becomes bigger, the value increases. The interest increases means what? Discounted cash flow reduces, the value decreases. This utility sector may be influenced by what? Interest rate. The airline may be influenced by what? The GDP. And the airline may not be influenced by what? Interest rate so much because they have an option to raise the price immediately. Yes or no? But utility price cannot be raised what? So much because always government regulations or controls. Everybody following not? So in that case, tell me, both companies with respect to market can have a beta how many times here? 2 times. But with respect to every economic factor affecting the market, they need not have what? 2 times a beta. Hence they say that don't use market portfolio as a proxy. Throw them out. Okay, from now onwards, we don't have anything called as what? Market portfolio. If it is that, we don't believe in. Everybody, are you following what I am saying? In that case, how to find out KE is the next issue. Everybody following or not? Now, so tell me, nothing great I have discussed. I just wanted to only communicate the spirit behind the APT. Number 1, risk is nothing but what? Variability in return. The return varies due to 2 reasons. Due to system, due to what? Unsystematic risk. Systematic risk is generally measured by CAPM as well as what? Sharp synchronous model using what portfolio? Market portfolio. APT says that you cannot use market portfolio as a proxy because the real reason for the system change is not the market change, is due to what? The reason that makes the market change. The reason is called as what? Macroeconomic factors. Examples are GDP, it may be interest rate change, inflation, foreign exchange change, or what? The currency, the energy risk and so on. Everybody following not? Now, so what they say is, when you take the market as a proxy, whatever reason the market change, you say your beta is what? 2 times. It need not be so because the market may change due to different reason. It may change your GDP, where some companies may be affected. It may change due to what? Interest rate, where some other company may be affected and so on. In that case, don't use the market as a proxy to measure a systematic risk. In fact, use what? The respective macroeconomic factor to associate what? Systematic risk is what APT tries to tell you. Everybody, are you following up to this or not? Now, let's go for the formula. But how the numbers in the formula can be arrived at can be understood only when all the problems can be completed. I'll tell you the formula. It is very simple. I forgot. Tell me, what is CAPM formula? K is equal to Rm plus beta into Rm minus Rm. Now, Rf is what? The return I want, even if I take what? No risk. Plus Rm minus Rm is what? Risk premium for what? For the systematic risk or market portfolio. It is going to premium for what? Market portfolio into what? Beta times I am risky gives you the security risk premium. Respond yes or no? No. So this is a risk premium for market portfolio or not? This is a risk premium for GDP change, risk premium for inflation change. What it is, it is for what? All this in an average summary basis. So no, now this only they wanted to take it out. So no, now what APT says is same simple formula. KE is equal to lambda 0 plus. Okay, this is called as what? Lambda. Lambda 0 plus beta 1 lambda 1 plus beta 2 lambda 2 plus beta 3 lambda 3 and so on. Everybody following or not? Shh. Why you are shouting? I did not do anything illegal for me to stop here. Can I proceed? Now, see. Listen seriously. Can I proceed? Now, nothing great about this formula. Lambda 0 is risk-free return. What is the return I want from a security here? It is what? Risk-free return. Plus, instead of having 1 beta for the entire market, I have 1 beta for every macroeconomic factor. I have what? 1 beta for every macroeconomic factor. That is, when the inflation changes by 1%, how much the security return changes? When GDP changes by 1%, how much the security return changes? When interest rate changes by 1%, how much the security return changes? When the exchange rate changes by what? 1%, what happens security return? Like that, instead of finding out a regression equation once for market and what security, I find out so many regressions for each and every macroeconomic factor and what security. Very simple, yeah? Now, earlier we had x-axis, y-axis. What we had in x-axis here? Market. And what in y-axis? Security. When market varies or the security varies, we plot the point and find the line of best fit. Yes or no? Now, in this case, what happens? Instead of market, I can have first what? GDP. And then what? Security return. It will be having a points or not. I find out what? Line of best fit. This is going to be called as what? Lambda 1 is the slope. How we call a slope as beta? No, this slope is called as what? Beta 1. Beta 1 means what? The variability of the security due to what? GDP change. I call as what? The beta 1. The factor 1 beta I can call. Yes or no? Now, that's all. I don't stop. I once again draw what? Another graph. X-axis and then what? Y-axis. Now, y-axis is what? Security return. Security return not only influenced by GDP, can be influenced by what? Inflation. I mean, influenced by what? Inflation. In that case, I may be having even like this. Beta can even be negative because when inflation increases, security return what? Decreases. I'll be having one more beta called as what? Beta 2. It's called as factor 2 beta. It can even be negative. So beta can even be what? Negative in APT. We'll discuss about them more in the later stage. Very interesting. Can I proceed or not? Now, like that, for every macroeconomic factor, I draw one line of best fit. Everybody has to know. Through that, I find out the slope of that line, which I call as what? Beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, etc. These all called as factor beta. Because what beta? Factor beta. Everybody understood or not? Very simple. Nothing rare. In the CAPM and SHOP index model, what is beta? X-axis is what? Market return. And y-axis is what? Security return. When market return varies by so much, how much the security return varies, I want to find out or not. Hence, I found out what? A regression equation where I solved the regression equation, found out what? Beta. Romba simple. Past 5 years. X-axis, I write what? Market return for first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and then what? Fifth year. Y-axis what I write? Security return for first, second, third, fourth, and fifth year. I have X point as well as what? Y point. I plot the points, find out what? Beta using sigma Y is equal to what? N alpha, etc., etc. Right or not? Now, in that case, I found out beta by taking two data. So two data, one is security return, another is what? Market return. Like that. Here what I do is X, that is Y-axis, security return. X-axis GDP. Year 1 GDP 4.8%, security return 23.2. Year 2 GDP 6%, security return is going to be 25%. Year 3 GDP 8%, the security return is going to be what? 29. Like that, what I do, I have GDP data for past 5 years. I have the security performance also for what? Past 5 years. Plot the GDP in X-axis and security in what? Y-axis. We are having so many points or not. For that point, find out what? Line of best fit. Solve for beta. That is called as factor 1 beta, called as GDP. You know, right or not? Okay, now this is 1 beta. Next I take another data. Inflation for past 5 years is what? X-axis. Return for security is going to be what? Y-axis. Plot the point, considering inflation and then what? Return. Obviously, inflation increases, return will what? Decrease. The points will be sloping downwards. For this, find out what? Beta. I'll be getting the factor 2 beta. Yes or no? I take one more factor. Next is interest rate and then what? Security return. Plot the points. Then you take what? Currency rates change and then what? Security rate and so on. So like that, for every macroeconomic factor, I can find out a beta or not. Those beta we popularly call as what beta? Factor beta. Because called as what? Factor beta. How this is a single beta, broken into what? Number of betas, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. We can take as many macroeconomic factors as you want for analyzing the security risk. Now, so what is return of a security? Risk-free return plus beta times the risk premium. Yes or no? Same thing here also. This is lambda 0 is called as what? Risk-free return. Beta 1 is what? Factor 1 beta into the risk premium for macroeconomic factor. That is risk premium for what? Macroeconomic factor 1. For example, factor 1 is GDP. Beta 1 into risk premium I want for what? GDP change. Beta 2 into risk premium 1 for what? Inflation change. Beta 3 into what? Risk premium for what? The interest rate change and so on. For every macro, how I have a risk premium for what? Market portfolio. I also calculate risk premium for what? Every macroeconomic factor, and based on that I can find out the security return. Everybody following not? Now, the only thing is, sir, how can I find out premium for macroeconomic factor? Question arises no, because market portfolio is nothing but a group of securities. So no, it is having a return, and the risk assessor can have what? Return. The difference can be called as what? The risk premium for what? The risk premium for what? The market portfolio. That is very easy to understand. But is a GDP having any return up? No. So in that case, how to find out the risk premium for what? Macroeconomic factor. We'll discuss in the later part of today's class. Are you following what I'm saying? Don't question that. It is possible to find out. It may be difficult, but it's still what? Possible to find out. How that can be done, we'll be discussing in the later stages. Everybody following or not? Now, it starts somewhat very gently or very hazily, but more about what I said now itself we can understand when I discuss the problems in the later stage. I'll be having more numbers to make understand what I'm trying to explain now. Everybody following or not? Now, with this, I stop to some extent the introduction to the area called as what? APT. I don't want to dictate any notes. Everything has been given in the sheet towards the end of the chapter. Can I proceed or not? Now, please. I want you to have at least some consolidation now before I go for the problem in this regard. Now, first of all, what is risk? Variability and security return. Security return varies due to two reasons. One is what? Systematic. Another is what? Unsystematic. Unsystematic is random error. Nobody can discuss about that, yes or no. But systematic, in that case, why the security return varies? We say market return varies. So what? Security return varies. By saying this, we say that the entire system is represented by what? Stock index. The variance in stock index is shown as a reason for what? The variance in the security return. APT says that the stock index variance is not the reason for what? The security return change. What makes the stock index move only is a real reason for what? The risk. What makes the market move up and down? Macroeconomic factors. Can you tell me the examples of macroeconomic factors? GDP, inflation rates, interest rate, energy risk, exchange rate, so many one can keep on, political risk, etc. Everybody following on? Now, so the macroeconomic factor varies. That is the reason why what? The market portfolio varies. The reason why what? The security varies. So the indirectly, the market portfolio may be the reason, but directly, what is the reason here? Macroeconomic factors only makes what? The security return change is what APT says no. It's or no? Now, then they can say, why should you think about macroeconomic factor? Because macroeconomic factors affects what? Market. Market affects what? Security. Why can't you use a market as proxy? Question arises no. This is that you make a too simplified approach, because market varies due to various macroeconomic factors, but all the macroeconomic factors need not affect all the securities in the similar fashion. Some macros may affect some securities more than what the others. So if you generalize that beta 2 times with market means for all macroeconomic factors, my security reacts how many times here? 2 times. My security may react to GDP, may not react to what? Inflation. Or my security may react to inflation, may not react to what? GDP. Don't generalize by saying that the market beta is 2 times. I should not say substitute a market beta. Instead, you should be having what? Factor beta. So please find out the sensitivity of my share to each and every macroeconomic factor. So we have to do regression not once, we have to do regression what? Number of times. times. First, in x-axis write what? The GDP. Y-axis write what? Secular return. Plot the point, find out the beta. Next you find out what? Inflation. And then secular return, find out the beta and so on. For every factor, find out what? Beta. That beta we call as what beta? Factor beta. No. So when you have a factor beta, we know the risk. It is called as what? Factor beta. We have a risk premium or not. Now he says the formula is K is equal to RF plus beta into RM minus RF. This is called as what? Market risk premium. Instead of having market risk premium, I'll be having what? Factor risk premium. Market risk premium, factor risk premium. So lambda 0 is something similar to what? RF plus what is beta 1? Factor 1 beta into lambda 1 is what? Factor 1 risk premium. Beta 2 is what? Factor 2 beta into factor 2 risk premium. Third is what? Factor 3 beta into factor 3 risk premium and so on. Respond yes or no in this. The beta 1, beta 2, beta 3 and all, how to find out? I gave you an idea about it by just doing what? Recursion number of times. Yes or no? But the problem is, sir, how to find out risk premium I want for a GDP change? How to find a risk premium I want for what? The inflation change and so on. How to assign a risk premium for a factor? Because I can assign premium for what? Portfolio. You know, say market portfolio gives you RM. I want how much? RF are taking no risk. The difference is what? The risk premium, because this is also return, this is also what? Return. But here GDP is not a return, it's only a number. Yes or no? In that case, how to find out the factor risk premium is an issue that we'll be seeing in the later stages of doing the problem. Everybody following or not? Now, this is a very summary way of understanding the APT. The brilliance of this theory can be seen only when you start doing the problems where they bring concept called as short selling into picture. How the entire efficiency frontier changes due to what? Short selling. How we can construct with negative betas portfolios or portfolio negative portions. All those can be seen only through problems. At the end of all the problems, I'll develop the theory much more further and give the conclusive answer for the entire APT. Everybody, are you following or not? To some extent, this I find difficult because I have to explain partially. You may not be explaining, understanding it fully. I have to go further with what? Problems. To some extent, the introduction, say, discussion has been followed by you or not? Can I proceed or not? Now, let's go for the problem now. After every problem, something new or interesting can be learned by us. All this, I'll once again go back and link into the introduction discussion. Much more clear and much more expansive. Can I proceed or not? Now, let's start with the problems, please. Take question number 26. Please stop talking. Question number 26. Shh. Okay. Before that, in CA-PM and all, can beta be negative? We discussed CA-PM sharp and all, no? Can beta be negative? No. Generally, overall beta will not be negative. Statistically, it may be possible for a beta to be what? Negative. If correlation between security and market is negative, the correlation is what? Negative. Beta can become what? Negative. We don't deny the statistical possibility, but mostly, security cannot always behave against the system. Then becomes anti-national. That's what I am saying now. When the country is down, the company what? Prospers. When the country prospers, company is what? Down. Then the company cannot survive because overall society tries to only improve and not always make what? Losses. Yes or no? Mostly, logically, beta cannot be negative. When entire market performs, you are also part of the market only now. You should also be what? Performing well, and vice versa. Beta cannot be negative as per CA-PM. As per what? CA-PM. As well as what? Sharp single index model. The regression line always will be going upwards only. Will not be going what? Downwards. Is an empirical proof. One has to believe it. I will follow what I am saying. Now, in APT, in this arbitrary pricing theory, can factor beta be negative? Yes. The negative beta only make this theory very interesting. It is going to make this theory what? Very interesting. Factor beta can be what? Negative. GDP grows, Company return grows. GDP does not grow. Company return also what? Does not grow. There the factor beta is positive. Inflation increases. What happens? Inflation increases, security return decreases. Inflation decreases, security return what? Increases. In that case, for that factor, beta can be what? Negative. Yes or no? Now, energy improves, security return improves. Energy is short. Security return also is what? Short. Energy production increases, the security return also what? Increases. Energy production decreases, security return also what? Decreases. Then the beta to the energy is what? Positive. Yes or no? Interest rate increases, the share return decreases. Interest rate decreases, the share return what? Increases. Then the factor beta can be what? Negative. Everybody understanding it or not? Now, overall beta, the market will be what? Positive, because company cannot act against what? Market. It is forming part of the market only. But factors beta can even be what? Negative. That make the series much more interesting. We will be seeing in the later stage. Everybody following or not? Now, let's take question number 26. Assume that only. Now here again I say, have some patience. Whatever I may be explaining now, you may be hastily understanding it. You may not try to follow what I am trying to prove here. That's what I am saying. I am only slowly explaining the concepts. Everything will be linked. I'll tell you what consolidated by the end of today's class. Believe me, are you following or not now? For that, only thing I will require from you is patience in hearing. If I repeat something again and again, also what I hear so many number of times, try to be on track with me. Ultimately, I'll conclude on what complete this APT. Can I proceed or not? Now. Welcome. Can I proceed? Now. Assume that only two macroeconomic factors, factor 1 and factor 2, impact security returns. Investments A, B and C have the following sensitivities to these two factors. Investment A, that is security A, we can say. Security A, beta 1, 1.75, beta 2, 0.25. I want an answer. What is the meaning of this? When the factor 1 changes by 1%, the A return changes by 1.75%. When the factor 2 changes by 1%, A reacts only to what? 0.25%. That is, A is more sensitive to factor 1 and less sensitive to factor 2. Yes or no? Now, similarly, B, factor 1 beta is -1. Is it possible? Yes. So what is -1? When the factor decreases by 1%, the B is happy. It goes up by what? 1%. 1 beta, when the factor increases by 1%, the company return decreases by 1%. And here it is going to be how many times here? 2 times. Meaning of this is what? When factor 2 changes by 1%, the B return changes by 2%. Is the meaning of that in the same direction. Are you following what I am saying? Like the security C also 211 is given. We are given expected risk premium is 4% on factor 1 and 8% on factor 2. Tell me what is 4%? Lambda 1. The factor risk premium equals what? Lambda 1. What is this 8%? Lambda 2. The risk premium I want for the factor 1 and the risk premium I want for what? Factor 2 is called as lambda 1 and lambda 2. Yes or not? That RM minus RF is market risk premium or not? Like that. This is the lambda 1. This is what? Lambda 2. How these numbers can be found out, we'll be discussing in the later stages. Everybody following up? Now, like when the factor risk premium. According to APT, what is the risk premium on each of the 3 stocks is one question. Suppose we buy rupees 2 lakhs of A and 50,000 of B and sell 1,50,000 of C. What is the sensitivity of this portfolio to each of the 2 factors? What is the expected risk premium is the next question that is being asked. Everybody, can I proceed or not? No. This is what? Past examination problem. Again, this is what a past examination problem. Institute question only. Now, examiner just they do the solution. We'll see what lies behind the solution after discussing the problem. Everybody following or not? Now. So again I say, every sum which I am doing now are all past RTP or what examination sum. We have other sums from other books also, but I intently take what? These only to ensure that what I discuss is within what syllabus. Now. You believe me? Okay, can I say? No. Let's start with our discussion. We are going to start with a very easy way of understanding with what is already discussed. Once the problem has been completed to a particular stage, then we can start explaining some more extra concepts here. Can I start or not? Now, tell me, what is KE? KE is equal to what? Lambda 0 plus beta 1 lambda 1 plus beta 2 lambda 2. Two factors means what? That's all. When I have beta 3, beta 4, etc. In this sum, how many factors here? 2 factors. Tell me the KE formula. KE is equal to what? Beta 1 lambda, that is lambda 0 plus beta 1 lambda 1 plus beta 2 lambda 2. What is lambda 0? Risk return. Let you leave it. What is beta 1 lambda 1 plus beta 2 lambda 2? Security risk premium. Yes or no? The risk premium is going to be what? Beta 1 lambda 1 plus beta 2 lambda 2. Lambda 0 not given, not required in this question because the first question is what? Find out what is the risk premium on each of the 3 stars. Is the question number 1. Everybody, can we start or not? Now, write on first step 1. Step 1. Calculation of risk premium. Calculation of risk premium for each security. Don't think that nothing is written in the notebook here. Everything is given in what? Sheet. Let us read and show it to you. Okay. Step 1. Calculation of risk premium for each security. Calculation of risk premium for each security. Can you start on now? Now. Lambda bracket risk premium is equal to lambda in bracket right risk premium. Lambda here represents what? Risk premium. Lambda in bracket right risk premium is equal to beta 1 lambda 1 plus beta 2 lambda 2. Lambda risk premium is equal to beta 1 lambda 1 plus beta 2 lambda 2. Can we find out for all the 3 securities A, B and C in the stock market or not? No. Security A. Lambda A is equal to, what is lambda A? Risk premium for A. Lambda A is equal to, lambda A is equal to, risk premium for A is equal to, tell me what is beta 1? 1.75 into what is the risk premium for the first factor? 4. 1.5 into 4 plus what is beta 2? 0.25 into what is the risk premium? A. 4 is the factor 1 risk premium. 8 is what? Factor 2 risk premium. 1.75 is factor 1 beta for A and 0.25 is what? Factor 2 beta. Tell me what is the risk premium? 9%. Suppose risk-free rate is 6%. What is the expected return? 15%. Everybody, are you understanding it or not? Now, that's the meaning of it. Can I proceed? Now, next. Can tell me and then write lambda B. Please tell me. Then we can write what lambda B? Minus 1 into 4 plus 2 into 8. Remember, write or not? Now, write on lambda B is equal to minus 1 into 4 plus 2 into 8. Minus 1 into 4 plus 2 into 8 is equal to how much percent? 12%. Minus 1 into 4 plus 2 into 8 is equal to 12%. Now, lambda C, tell me what is the calculation? 2 into 4 plus 1 into 8 is equal to 16%. Lambda C is equal to 2 into 4 plus 1 into 8 is equal to 16%. Respond, are you all following or not? Now, tell me, what is 9%? The risk premium for security A. What is 12%? Risk premium for security B. What is 16%? Risk premium for security C. The risk premium I am asking based on the market risk, factor risk. I don't ask premium based on a single proxy called as market variance. I ask premium based on what? The factor variance. So that is measured by what? Factor beta and the factor risk premium. Yes or no? Instead of beta into Rm minus Rf, I have what? Beta 1 lambda 1 plus beta 2 lambda 2 is what we call as a security risk premium. Everybody, I think are all comfortable or not? Put it up, write down. Note, write down note. So general introduction is there in the notes. I'll just give it for specific problems. Okay, note. Point number 1. Point number 1. For security A, the risk premium required for security A, the risk premium required based on its sensitivity to, for security A, the risk premium required based on its sensitivity to macroeconomic factors is, for security A, the risk premium required based on its sensitivity to the macroeconomic factor is 9%. Based on its sensitivity to macroeconomic factor is 9%. So it is 1.75 times sensitivity to what? Factor 1, and 0.25% sensitivity to what? Factor 2. Based on that, what should be the premium? Should be asking here 9%. Yes, 9%. And similarly for B and C it is, 12% and 16%. And similarly for B and C it is 12% and 16%. Similarly for B and C it is 12% and 16%. Similarly for B and C it is 12% and 16%. Everybody, are you following or not? Write down. Next, this is point number 1. Point number 2. To this risk premium, if we add, please tell me, if we add what? Risk-free rate. To this risk premium, if we add risk-free rate, bracket lambda 0. To risk premium, if we add risk-free rate, in bracket right, lambda 0, bracket close, we get, tell me what we get here? KE. We get KE, bracket required rate of return. We get KE, in bracket right, required rate of return. In bracket right, required rate of return. Everybody, can I proceed or not? Now, see. Next question. We are discussing now about a portfolio. I am going to invest how much rupees? 2 lakh rupees in A. I am going to invest what? 50,000 in B. I am going to sell what? 1,50,000 in C. This is a portfolio. For this portfolio, they ask you to calculate what is factor 1 beta, what is factor 2 beta. Same concept. What is the beta of a portfolio? Weighted average beta of the individual securities, where the weights are what? Proportion of each security in the portfolio. Respond yes or no? No. We'll do, don't ask too many questions. After the sum is completed, there's an interesting concept called as short selling. We'll be what discussing in this particular context. Can I start or not? No. Please participate. I have to find out factor portfolio beta. I want to find out beta 1 for the portfolio, beta 2 for what? Portfolio. How security A can have beta 1, beta 2. Security B can have what? Beta 1, beta 2. C can have what? Beta 1, beta 2. Like that portfolio of what? Securities also should be having what? Factor 1 beta and then what? Factor 2 beta because portfolio 2 can react to the macroeconomic factors. Everybody, are you following or not? That's what I want to calculate. Can you start or not? Now, please. Security value proportion beta 1 weighted beta 1 beta 2 weighted beta 2. Enna paridana? Yes or no? Romba simple. Yeah, security value. Okay, weighted beta 2. Make a change. Can I start now? No. What? Security A Security. I should ask you a question here. Security C. Okay. Now, whether you understand APT and all, you understand my accent properly. Canada, now please. A, B, and then C. Now, suppose I have 1 rupee. I have what? 1 rupee. Or 1 lakh rupee. I have how much rupees here? 1 lakh rupees. I invest in A, how much rupees? 2 lakhs. I invest in B, how much rupees? 2,50,000. Okay. Now, investment means I write positive number. C, I am investing, I am selling, selling. If investing your money is plus 2 lakhs, now suppose I sell A, it becomes what? Minus 2 lakhs. Can you understand like that or not? Now, for C, I am not investing money, I am getting money. Yes or no? I am what? Diluting my investment. Are you what I am saying? In the case, tell me, C, I am selling how much rupees here? Minus 1 lakh rupees. So my wealth is going to be how much rupees here? 1 lakh. Everybody understood or not? Okay. What is a minus 1,50,000 is a deep explanation. I will do at the end of this particular sum. That's one of the very important contribution of APT. Can I proceed or not? Now, next. So, now, blindly understand. If I invest 1 rupee, I write what? 1. If I sell a share, I write what? Minus 1. Now, to put it simply, I have already how much rupees? 1 lakh. In my pocket, how much I already have here? 1 lakh. I sell share C. For how much rupees here? 1,50,000. In my hand, how much am I having? 2,50,000. What I do? 2 lakhs in A and 50,000 in B. Everybody following or not? So already the wealth in hand is what? 1 lakh. I sell security C for how much rupees? 1,50,000. The money in hand is how much? 2,50,000. I invest in what? A 2 lakhs and B what? 50,000. Is what is what my portfolio all about? Yes or no? That means I take an investment position in A and B and take what? A sell position in C in the stock market. Everybody, yes or no? Now, tell me the proportion. What is the proportion here? 2 lakhs by 1 lakh is what? 2. 50,000 by 1 lakh is what? 0.5. Minus 1 lakh by 1 lakh is how much? Minus 1.5. It is going to be 1. Is that right or not? Now, next is beta of factor 1. What is factor 1 beta of A? Please tell me the number. 1.75. B minus 1. C is what? 2. Weighted beta is 2 into 1.75. 3.5. 0.5 into minus 1, minus 0.5. Minus 1.5 into 2 gives you, what is the factor of portfolio beta? 0. The portfolio beta is 0. Respond, yes or no? Now, next is, what is beta 2? Tell me the number, what is beta 2? 0.25, 2, 1. And what is weighted beta? 2 into 0.25, 0.5. 0.5 into 0.2, 1. Minus 1.5 into 1 is minus 1.5. The beta is what? 0. Everybody following or not? Now, there are discussions to be made. Simply, overall, superficially, are you able to understand the calculations or not? Now, the question asks you to find out very simple. What they say is, what is the sensitivity of this portfolio to each of the two factors? What is the expected risk premium? This portfolio, should I ask for risk premium? I should not ask, should not ask. It is a risk-free portfolio, yes or no? So what is asked is risk-free return only. Everybody, are you following what I am saying? No. So we'll just come back to discussion later. Please copy up to this before you go for the next stage of discussion. Before that, answer me. How much money I am having in my hand? 1 lakh. What I sold? C. How much I got? 1,50,000. And where I invest? 2 lakhs in A, 50,000 in B. Tell me my wealth. My wealth, 2 times my wealth is in what? A. And 0.5 in what? B. And minus 1.5 in what? C. I have a beta. Multiply with proportion. I get what? Weighted beta. What is the factor beta for the portfolio? 0. And what is factor 2 beta? 0. The beta 0 means portfolio does not have a risk. Does not have a risk. What should be the risk premium I should be asking here? No risk premium should be asked for this particular portfolio. Is the meaning of this response. Are you following up? Now, there is a lot of discussion inside that. I will discuss that once you complete the solution. Copy the solution quickly. Give the heading. I think first step over up. Now, write down part 2. Factor portfolio beta. Factor portfolio beta. Please. Factor portfolio beta. Stop talking, please. Shh.